Hello people, how are we doing? Oh good, YouTube didn't tell me that it's minus 400 this time. Nice. Yeah, how is everyone doing? I know we got Watson Super User, how you doing? What's going on? That one. For watching. Hello you four people. Yeah, how's your week been? What an interesting day of dealing with my ISP. In fact, actually, today's been a terrible day in general. Actually, gonna level with you. Ish, how you doing? So today's been pretty bad. I've been in a lot of pain today. Mostly lower back and knees. Although shoulders too. My internet went out first thing. I woke up with no internet, and then I called up my ISP, who said who didn't let me speak to a human, and who automatically sent out a network engineer in 3 days' time. And apparently now I have internet back after pestering them to hell. So apparently pestering them does work. What else? Oh yeah, I got a speeding ticket, which it was for doing 86 on a motorway, which if you've ever looked at the road traffic accident statistics, you notice that speeding isn't even in the top 10 for causes of accidents or even deaths, fatalities. So to be caught on a motorway is yeah, interesting. What else happened? Oh, I couldn't edit the video I wanted to edit today, so anyway, hi Fidget Spinner, Able Edits, hi Pablo, hi Poisonmon. How's the keyboard? Have you no internet in 2018? What a new hell would be, exactly. Able 1800X or 8700K for well, since your name is Able Edits, I assume video editing, in which case depends what you use. Personally, I'd go with the 1800X. I mean, actually, personally, I would go with the 1700X and overclock it. That's what I actually have in my system. Hypothetically, the 8700K is a bit faster with Premiere, but it also kind of depends on stuff like what graphics card you have. And my experience is that Premiere is slow and terrible, whether you have a 1800X or whether you have an 8700K or 7700K or whatever else. Anyway, so I pestered about it. What it says, Ryzen 2. That's probably one to look out for. If you haven't already bought the system, or the chip, then I would say maybe wait around for Ryzen 2 if you can hold out for another, what is it, 2 months ish. If you can hold out for 2 months, then have a look at what the Ryzen 2 performance or V2 performance is. Hi Super User, how you doing? What would be the price of the 2600? I'd guess probably the same as the 1600 is now, give or take. At least the RRP of the 1600 anyway. Ish, any other criminal activity we need to know about? Not quite. No, I don't think I've had any criminal activity. Able Edits, gaming, streaming, and edit. I have a 1066 gig. So if you can wait, then it's probably worth waiting a couple months, just seeing what the prices do. I mean, you might actually find out that the Ryzen 2 chips perform quite similarly to the 8700K, and that brings the 8700K's price down. So you might end up getting a better deal or something like that, even if you don't go for Ryzen 2. So, oh, I thank you, Liam. I'm glad you're kicking it with us, and to ask how you get your hair. So this isn't perfect. This is basically how I woke up out of bed. I don't know that is necessarily what's it about, fidget spinner. Mark, hi, how you doing? Ish, hashtag make Intel panic part 2. Hopefully RAM does get a wee bit cheaper. That'd be nice. You were using a VPN and your ISP lost you. No, actually my VPN was off, but it was the whole system. It was the whole thingy. Whole network was down. I was fairly certain because it was still working at 2 AM when I was up, when I went to bed. So when I woke up at 9 or something, and it wasn't working. Generally, don't get network engineers at the local exchange boxes until at least 8. So nobody would have come and knocked my connection out or anything. So I would doubt that it was actually a hardware fault. So my guess is that it was just a TalkTalk server error, and so pestering them about it, because they'd auto sent an engineer or they'd requested an OpenReach engineer visit. They would they said, oh sorry, we can't do anything else until the engineer has visited. That's our policy. And so I pestered them and just like, your policy? Why? Who cares about policy? Fix my connection. I'm paying you for it. And so after a few different people, seemed to get magically sorted. So that was good. Are AMD looking to revise Vega in the next 18 months? In the next 18 months, probably. I don't think it's anything in the next 6 months, probably not even 12 months. So in the 18 month, I'd say yes. Not soon. It was probably the Russians that brought down the network. Just because you're in America, MacTX, and everything revolves around the Russians there. Oh, you said TalkTalk, I had to ditch them. Well, I was thinking about it, but the problem is that Virgin cabled this area, right, which is nice, and I can get up to 300 meg here, but it's way more expensive. Even so, I pay £26.50 a month, right? And so if I went to Virgin, right, I get real world, I get about 70 meg down, 20 meg or 18 meg up, right? If I went to Virgin, then I would get 50 and like 10, but it's slower, but it's an extra like £5 a month more. So I don't really understand why I do that. And I was having a look at the TalkTalk business line, because then at least I have ultimate reason to pester them. But that after 12 months is like £45 a month. So like there's a lot of hassle with it, and I wish all you people saying hyper optic for 1 gig, I'd love that, but that's just not possible. I was looking at Virgin's business offering. So they have 350 megasecond down, right, for something stupid like £30 a month, which is brilliant. But it's 7 megabits per second up. What the hell? You have to pay £50 a month to get 20 meg up, and that's the highest they do. It's just like, I don't understand how you can have a line that is capable of doing 350 megabits a second down, but can only piddle 20 up at its most. It's just a fiber optic connection, or well, copper to the house, but it's just a data connection. You're still passing data. So why is one 350 and one is 20 at most? What the? Oh, sorry for hitting the table, but what the hell? Anyway, let's get back up to the questions. Hi Geekawater. James, how you doing? OpenReach do have a monopoly, which is really annoying. And I've had that happen. I have had that happen before. Will 2600 work on B350 motherboards? Yes, as long as they've had a BIOS updates. Matt, how you doing? Kent Monkey, how you doing? Where are we? I'm not in London, I'm afraid. Mystic Orange, how you doing? What sort of speed is KCOM? Able Edits is 2 version of Ryzen, the same socket. AM4 socket will still work. MaxCX, yes, here in the US, everything is the fault of either the Russians, Trump, or the NRA, apparently. I wouldn't say they were defective, because my personal view is that there are extremes on both sides that are idiots, but there's a healthy middle ground where a lot of conversations aren't being had. My personal opinion, but I'm not in the US. Pokemon 7-1 up. Super user, you get 16 to 19 down, 1 to up. It's killing me. You want that Ultra from BT. Fibre is outside my house but not connected yet. That's stupid. You should get that. Pester them, and pester them, and it will eventually happen. Ali, which one is best? LG 34 UC89 or the PG27Q? I take it you mean PG279Q or AQ or 8Q, so that my guess would be, I can't remember which model. What's the spec? Is the LG model G-Sync as well or not? If not, then the depends what you're doing as well and what graphics card you have. You don't want businesses to use consumer connections on the cheap. I know, but I mean, for the average consumer, who cares about upload though? Because the average consumer, they're consumers. They consume content, so they're downloading games, they're downloading Netflix or whatever, all that sort of stuff. It's the businesses that need that fast upload. But 20? That's what I get on my consumer connection. So what's the point? Italy, the best is 7-1. Oh, geez, Galaxy. Oh, that is painful. You did say something earlier, Galaxy. I'm sorry I missed it. Can you just copy and paste that, and I shall be able to reply. James, government dissolving powers down to Sky, Talk, Plus Net, etc. in the next couple of years, though, which has to be good. So I mean, from what I've seen from that, all they're doing is making sure that OpenReach, which still is a subsidiary of BT, is more further separated from BT as a parent company, because you find that BT has a lot of priority when it comes to, say, they lay the lines and then they go, well, you know, we're only going to allow X number of customers that want to use a TalkTalk connection, or TalkTalk as their ISP, or Sky or whoever. You know, we're only going to allow a set number of those in the box, which is quite anti-consumer and anti-competitive, which is kind of what the separation's about. So that hypothetically, any cables that go into the box mean you get. You can have as many connections as that allows from anyone, hypothetically. Fidget Spinner, what's the best cheap and cheap graphics card, especially under the cryptocurrency mining? 1050 Ti doesn't seem to be massively affected, and it's pretty good. If you can get a 1060, they're also not too heavily affected. I've seen places for somewhere between 300 and 350 for some of those, so that's not too bad. Aye. Liam, yes, I've just been to Scotland. Matt, you don't want it to take too long to post pictures of your dinner to Facebook. 150 to 50 on 4G, nice. Matt, 7518 in Cornwall. That's what I have here. And Matt, and Matt I have or as Miss Laugh says, I've been home, so I be a bit stronger. Hi Martin, how you doing? Maploads are doing cheap 1050 Ti's. Nice, nice. Live in Somerset. Country mayor. What are those bagpipes? Galaxy, did you do you know we'll see notebook with 8th gen Intel HQ processors? I probably the next couple months. They're normally pretty slow, so I mean the one that I should buy for all kinds of games, the ultrawide or the 27-inch 2K. So ultrawide is a really nice experience. Is the one that you mentioned, is that the 1440p one, or is that the 1080p? Or so is it 2560 by 1080, or is it 3440 by 1440? In which case, if it's the 1440, then I think you're going to have a nice experience with it. If it's the 1080, then I'd go with the which one is it? The PG279Q. Right. James Geekowatts, when my internet went down, Sky sent their own engineer first to check inside the house, because if it's inside the house, OpenReach charged the ISPs a fine for wasting their time essentially, and the Sky man said they're letting Sky TalkTalk+Net do the work on the switches in the next couple of years, forcing the power theoretically from OpenReach. Interesting. Okay, that's interesting. It'll be nice to see that happen. Although I haven't heard that myself, but fair play. Black Op, I got a 1060 3 gig for £215 from Game. Is that decent? Aye, that's pretty bad. That's pretty good. That's not too bad. Martin, good to see your internet back. Yes, thank you. Pestering them to hell. Mapload's going into administration. Really? I mean, I'm not that surprised, but aye. Scottish internet is so utter. In South Korea, I think it's like 20 quid for a gigabit. Aye, it's beautiful, but sadly no. Ultrawides gives me the same experience as I remember it from going from 4x3 to 16:9. It's really hard to go back to 16:9 now. Aye, Nathan, who may pop up in the chat, he has an ultrawide, but he had to RMA his one, so he was back to 16:9, and every time we play the game, he was, oh, I can't believe this. Oh, it's such a small screen. Oh, can he see anything here? So aye, if you go ultrawide, prepare to never go back again. Andrew, do you use TubeBuddy? No. Isn't it a paid app, a paid thing you have to use? And what does it do for you? Rick Sanchez, 8800 JT or 9600 GSO. Oh, I've probably got 8800 GT. Aye. Should I buy a 1600 now or a 1200 and update to 2600 after April? How much do you think the 2600 will be roughly? As what had said, 1600 MSRP is probably about the same price as what the 2600 will be. And can you really not wait a couple months? If you canny, then I probably a 1200, because then at least you're. Aye. So what does it? Right. So it has a free version, basically helps you do YouTube stuff. So you filter your comments to show ones you haven't replied to. Paid version has more features. Right. Okay. Is it actually like his? So, I'll have a look at it, and I might install it just to see what the free features are. I did have a look, and the paid features look interesting, like the suggested tags and stuff. But I'll have to see what the sort of free features are first before I see what the thing. PUBG developers are idiots. They're really against cheaters, but now you need to disable the kill cam where you'll run at 50 FPS. Hackers, go ahead. Aye. I've got a paid one and you rank high for the size of my channel. Is that a good thing? But you rank high. Okay, cool, nice. With 3 you do get the chest of tags, but only a max of 3. Okay, fair play. I will have a look later on when I'm all sorted. Ali is full HD ultra wide, look good with 34-inch, 144Hz with a GTX 1080. So the 34-inch at 1080p though, it just isn't that great. I think, as Nathan will tell you, the 1440p version is much nicer, especially that sort of 34-inch. If it was the 25-inch one, then I think you'd like it at that sort of resolution. But I think the pixel density on the 34 with the 1080p panel just isn't that great. Even in a small town with a small ISP, I have fibre to my house with free installation options up to 1 gig. God damn it, Colin, where are you? I need to live where you are. I could go for a 2200G over the 1200, then upgrade after April, then then again 1600 should drop in price. You have all your parts ready, just need a Ryzen chip. So I mean, if you go for a 2200G, that's not too bad, and you can use it as a media center or something if you then upgrade in the future. So if you really can't wait for a couple months, then the 2200G is probably a better shout actually. Corn, I actually haven't played pub for a while. I've been kind of off of it. I played about 500 hours, and after the new map was introduced, it wasn't even. I've had hackers kill me 3 or 4 times. Nothing massive. Out of played 500 hours. I've played hundreds of matches, so 3 or 4 times total. Any bad, but basically since it came out of early access, I haven't really been that interested in it. I played every now and again with people. I've let other friends ask me to, but not much. No worries, 2 Black Up. Fidget Spinner 21. Wait, which model it was? 34, 27, 34. Aye. The desert map really sucks. Hi Warren, how you doing? How you doing? How's things, man? I haven't spoken to you in a while. I didn't really like it that much. It's okay, but I'd much rather Erangel. Not just because I know Erangel better, but because it's the scale and the overall experience just really isn't great for me personally. Anyway. Ali, which GPU is fine for 1440p? Yeah, 1080 is fine. Luke, hi from Australia, or hi to Australia. When are you going to do a custom water-cooled PC build? I keep wanting to do one. The problem is really parts. What I might try and do is get in touch with some people for the new Ryzen launch and do one around that. I think that'd be quite cool. The other thing that's hard to do is get a graphics card, because when you want to do a custom water cooling loop, really you want to water cool the graphics card as well, because otherwise you may just get an all-in-one cooler, right? So I want to water cool. I would want to water cool the graphics card as well, but it's pretty hard to come by blocks that fit aftermarket graphics cards, and it's pretty hard for me to come by Founders Edition style graphics cards that don't need blocks. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg for me to try and find that. So I'll have to see kind of how I can go about it. But I'll definitely I want to do it. It's been a long time since I've done a water cooling build, so it'd be really nice to see. But it's mostly a case of availability, especially on the graphics card side for me, really. You'll sponsor the CPU water block. There are blocks that fit a range of GPUs, but then it's also getting a hold of a GPU that the company is willing for me to take apart and water cool and keep, and then getting that block as well. So I don't currently speak to EK. I'd like to, actually, that'd be nice, but I don't currently specifically speak to them, so it's a little bit harder for me to get to the block as well. Get to those blocks for like the Strix cards, for example. Which spinner should I buy, a B350 Tomahawk or Tomahawk Arctic? I think the Arctic is the slightly newer revised version, so you might find that there's newer BIOS updates and stuff for that, so maybe that one. Sly Spy, do you think you will ever do any other series like Linux for Beginners? So I'm doing a Tech FAQs series that starts, is it this weekend? Might be this weekend, actually. Just check. I think it is this Saturday. Aye. So starting this Saturday at 12:30 PM, like sort of midday UK time, the first episode of the 8700K or 1800X, ironically I've already answered that question earlier, but that Tech FAQs episode will be out. If you follow me on Twitter, I've already done the first 3, but I've got plenty more to do, and I ask that question on Twitter and get your guys' responses as well, so if you follow me on there, you have a chance to answer that question as well and be in the video, so feel free to take a look at that. But I think I filmed some more of those actually. So I'm doing that as a series, which should be quite interesting. It's aimed a little bit more mainstream. It's aimed a little bit more at, you know, so the first thing that I filmed are 8700K versus 1800X and 8 gig of RAM for gaming. Is that enough? And a mechanical, like, are mechanical keyboards worth it for gaming? So like, it's not quite. You know, quite the same level as Linux for Beginners, but it should be interesting. For specifically for Linux for Beginners, I definitely need to learn more. It's something that I'm slowly working on, but I can't. Ironically, I need someone to teach me to before I can teach everyone else. So, I'm confused by the Aorus Z370. Gaming 7 and MSI Gaming 5 for the A700K. The Gaming 7's a bit of a higher end board, so probably that one. Poison Mod, nice. Are you still using the Drevo board? Banter, how you doing? How's things? How's your week? Nice. What PC case should I get to replace my Corsair Spec 01? What sort of budget are you looking at? I would say there's not that many. Something like a Cooler Master. Was it Master Box 5? They're pretty good value as well. Ish, I think I sent him a brown one. Brown switches. Warren, £28. Is that the full size version, or have they just upped the price? But something decent. So if they still sell it, the Master Case Pro 5 is still really nice. I think I can't remember what the price for the standard one is, but the Enthu Evolve ATX, the non-tempered glass one, I think that's probably about £100, give or take, and that's really nice. So I can't even recommend that one enough. So I forgot to back up. I forgot you can't run the 2200G out of the box on the board I bought because the BIOS needs updated. It will be the same with the 2600, so a bit frustrating for people doing first builds. Although AMD, if you go to AMD's website, you can sign up to receive a free upgrade kit. So it comes with, it's basically they're giving you an old Athlon chip. That's like 20 quid. If you were to buy one, it'd be like 20 quid or whatever, but it's an older chip, so it's a Ryzen V1 or whatever chip that works with it, and then you put the chip in, build the system, update the BIOS, and then you take that chip out and you send it back to them, and then you put your chip in. It should work, so I wouldn't be too bothered with that. Just take a look on AMD's website for that. You should be able to find it somewhere. Ali, as I said, the Gaming 7's a bit of a better board. So unless there's a specific thing that you like with the Gaming 5, I'd go with the Aorus Gaming 7. Poismon, I missed the media keys though. That's something that I quite like on these. Fidget spinner, should I buy an AMD Ryzen 2600 if I can't update the BIOS first? Do you already have a motherboard? If not, then don't worry about it. It should come, like motherboards that are being built now or manufactured now should all be coming with the newer BIOS on it, and by the time the 2600 is released, you are basically all of the boards that are on the shelves should have the newer BIOS on it, at least one that will allow the 2600 to work. So I wouldn't be too bothered about it. And even if they're not, even if you're the unlucky one that lands up with a board that doesn't work with your chip, then it might be a couple of days lead time before you actually get one, but you can get one of the free upgrade kits and just run with that. Galaxy Dark, do you follow any sports? Not really. I mean, a wee bit of esports like Rocket League and stuff like that every now and again. Siege Invitational was quite cool. But not really. I'm kind of busy making YouTube videos and playing games most of the time, so occasionally programming too. So, not really. Ali, thank you. Luke, is the new Ryzen CPUs that are coming going to have more PCIe lanes? I honestly have no idea. My expectation is no, they're probably going to have the same amount because that really isn't a problem for desktop. And obviously with Threadripper having, what, 64, I wouldn't see any need for them to upgrade that at all, really. In fact, actually, Ryzen as a platform is actually one of the only platforms that allows you to actually use M.2 NVMe SSDs to their full capacity. Because with all of the Intel chipsets, even the X299 chipsets, as far as I'm aware, all of the M.2 slots run through the chipset, which means that those M.2 SSDs are sharing their bandwidth with your SATA controller, your rear I/O, anything that is connected to the board that isn't a GPU. So that's a bit of a pain. Whereas with the Ryzen chips from the even from the 1200 all the way up, they have 24 PCI lanes. 4 of them go to the chipset, and then that leaves you with 20, which gives you 16 for 1 or 2 GPUs, either 16 or 8x, and another 4 direct for those M.2 SSDs, which means that you actually get the full direct speed of the M.2 SSD, which is really nice. Hi Kev, how you doing? Where can I get such an awesome shirt like you have, TechteamGB? Yeah, I quite like it actually. This versus the hoodie, the design on this one came out a wee bit further, which is quite nice. It's a bit more sort of full frontal. But actually, I'm going to reset up the Teespring for this. It's a really nice quality, and the pricing isn't entirely insane for them. So I'm going to reset that up and just leave it as a permanent thing, so you can pick up this. I'll add in my other designs as well and just kind of leave it as a store. So if you want to pick one of these up, I will. I'll set that back up and post it. I'll have it done for next week's live stream actually. So but I'm really happy with the design came out. It's actually Nathan, if he's still kicking about, he did the initial version of this design. But it was he sent me a PNG or something, so it wasn't very high res. So I wanted to get a higher res version so it could fit out further. So I had to redesign it. So I think it turned out quite nice. What's the best processor for programming? Well, the best, Threadripper. But budget 1600, 1600X, 1700, 1700X. Oh, I did see someone asked what games I play. I play Siege and Rocket League. Occasionally Battlegrounds, and I still play. I've been enjoying Battle Block Theatre actually. It's a fun indie game. Kerbal Space Program, stuff like that. Good fun. What's my favourite RPG? I don't really play RPGs that much, I'm afraid. Goku Ultra Instinct. What about you? Anybody know the Acer Predator Z301CT? Any good? Is that the so it's 29-inch, so that's probably the 1080p version, right? Or 2560 by 1080. What resolution is it? Your Kerbal's happy? Aye. I didn't get that far through the campaign because I spent most of my time on Sandbox just dicking about, which is good fun. TSP is awesome. Haven't played for ages though. It's something that you just keep installed and then just remember that you have it and have a load of fun doing a multi-stage, like 400 rocket boost to the moon or something like that. So, it's good. It's good fun. Always messed around in Sandbox. So do I. Dear, with mods. I didn't get around to doing mods. I know there's quite a few of them. I had a look, but then I didn't see anything that I immediately was interested in, so started playing SWATer and it's contributing my life. I've heard that some people do that. KSP is the nuts. Unscheduled rocket disassemblies. Aye. No, it's good fun. 1080p for 450, right, okay. And what's the MRDC, what's the refresh rate on it? Is that the 144Hz one? See, 29 inches is a lot better than the 34 inches in terms of display resolution. So I think I probably wouldn't be too upset with it being 1080p. 200Hz, nice. So that's probably an NVA panel, if I'm not mistaken. So you won't have the best viewing angles, you might have a wee bit of ghosting, and you shouldn't have any backlight bleed, but so it shouldn't be too bad, but should be good. To Black Op, what made you start a channel and why this subject? Did you ever think about a gaming channel too? So initially it started me and two friends because we'd fairly recently built our own gaming PCs, and the way that we learned about it was by watching YouTube videos of people like Linus at NCIX, well, back when NCIX was a thing, and so we thought it was fun, so we started that. I think it gradually well, I suppose left over time, and sort of took it up as more of a sort of job, which is the best thing I could have done because it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun, and I'm really glad I did. Did I ever think about a gaming channel? I've thought about it. I've done a few gaming videos here and there, but it's not something that I necessarily want to do, because see, with tech, right, it's the job that I have, which is making YouTube videos about all this tech, is fantastic. I love it. It's afforded me a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise had, both in like traveling around the world to all the different places. Stuff like Computex last year was fantastic, and obviously affords me a lot of technology that I get to use and play with. But the con to that is that I don't value it as much anymore. It's, I don't build a PC because it's fun. I build a PC because I've got to. It's like it's my job to do this thing, to be able to, whatever, do a video on this system or whatever. So there's a little bit of sort of, first of all, problems here, but kind of the fun gets taken out of it when you have to do it for a job 24/7. So if I were to start a gaming channel, that leaves a lot of responsibility for me to consistently play and make videos about certain games, which means that the fun kind of gets taken out a wee bit. I wouldn't be entirely opposed to, say, recording lots of gameplay, and then when I've got some downtime between making tech videos, doing some like fun edited montages for gameplay, I could see that being interesting, and you know, only doing a video a month or something, that'd be fine. But it's not something that I really want to cover and do full time necessarily, at least not personally anyway. Hard not play stacking GPUs and CPUs. I know it's hard. But actually, can you see there's a wee stack of CPUs there, the Ryzen ones. Do you watch anime? Not specifically. I'd kind of like to watch some more. What's your recommendations? What's a good beginner anime? You know, I mean, I suppose, do you count, you know, like animated video, like TV shows like Rick and Morty? Does that count as anime? I don't think so, but if so, then yes. But I know. Give me some suggestions. Warren, so it's kind of it's one of the things that I actually learned fairly early in life. My parents made me learn guitar, and I don't ever really remember asking to learn guitar, but it was something that they forced me to do, which I'm both sort of happy and not happy about. It's nice that I have the you know, the ability to play guitar, which is nice, and you know, it's nice to be able to, you know, whatever, sit down and play a song or whatever. But they wanted me to do grades with it, which is, I don't know whether that's a thing necessarily anywhere else, but in the UK, you have like music grades where you have to learn a set of skills and then you take a test on it, and it obviously does make you a better player of that instrument, because you're learning, you know, all the different scales, all the different you know, chord progressions and stuff. But at the same time, having to take a test on something every couple of months, for me, it really ruins the fun. It takes it from being a hobby, being something that's good fun that you can just, you know, do whenever you want, to, you know, something it's almost like a profession. You're almost being forced into doing it. You're being forced to learn this specific thing, and I don't really work well with structure and being forced into doing things. Hence why I could barely stand the 30-minute introductory lecture, or the kind of here's what you can expect lecture at university, and hence why I didn't go to university. So it's kind of, that's the same mentality I would get from having to make YouTube videos about gaming every day. Disney, no, I don't think it counts as anime. Could do, I guess. Death Notes, where are we? Dragon Ball Super and Naruto. Okay, I shall take a look. You did violin, Nath? Really? Did you get any grades in it? Ghost in the Shell and Akira. I take it you mean the originals, not the films? Ish. Violin and Julian. Actually, I did trumpet as well. That was actually quite good fun. But that was good. Dad and after the story, but prepared for the feels. Do you use one HDD or SSD for testing and reinstall each time? Kev asks. So I have an SSD, and actually, just because that's what I had lying around at the time, a 6TB WD Red that I install stuff onto as my test system. I generally don't reinstall Windows that often on it, but when I do, I have a clean copy with all of my games and everything pre-installed as a backup on my NAS. So I just ghost image that onto the drives, and then that works. Fair play, Nath. God damn it, Ish. Fidget, no, I've absolutely no idea. It will likely change, you know, even a week beforehand. Last week was roundabout, this week it's instruments and anime. Well, at least they're closer to tech, right? Aye. A friend of mine had a top grade in 5 instruments. That's a bit nuts. Gamer Voice, do you think AMD processors coming out in April will give Coffee Lake speeds a run for their money? So that's actually an interesting one. I'd really hope so. I really hope that they've pushed the IPC performance a wee bit more. They have only had a year to do it, which does lead me to think that it's really only going to be minor improvements in this, at least initial generation. I think we'll likely see, because what was the let me just check the 7700K Cinebench score. What's the on Cinebench? I was hoping for the single threaded. Come on. Single threaded. Right, so up around the 200 mark. Right, okay, so the 2400, which is meant to be the newer generation, the single threaded results for that was about 154 single threaded I got personally. So that's not too far off a lot of the mid to low end sort of medium range Intel chips on single threaded, which is really what you want for gaming. So I'm hoping that the newer chips will be able to raise the clock speeds a wee bit more, a little bit better for overclocking, and therefore, you know, if you can get, say, a 4.5 gigahertz chip, you know, like an 1800X or something that runs at all cores, say 4.2, 4.3 happily with a single core boost to 4.5 as stock, for example, I think that would be a fantastic result. So, aye. More cores but slower clocks seems to be the norm for AMD. I'd hope that they do improve the IPC a wee bit, but it kind of just depends on what sort of clock speed you can get out of it. So, aye. Check. Hey, Lumpy, how you doing? Hi. Let me just check what videos I have coming out. So tomorrow I've actually got a video, ironically, this always happens, I've got a video covering the state of the PC market, PC gaming market. Now, this video will not include the Ryzen APUs because I filmed it like 3 weeks ago and they didn't exist. So it's a bit of an annoyance, but that should be an interesting one still. It's kind of really what most people know, which is just that GPU and RAM prices are pretty high, but you can still build a decent enough system if you want to. We have the first tech FAQs video, which should be interesting. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that and the kind of how it plays out. There we go. We've also got my AMD APU reviews that's coming out on Monday, and then actually a really nice CyberPower laptop, which is about £1,400, but it's a GTX 1070. So most of the even like 1060s are like 1060 laptops from people like MSI, for like the GS range, for example, they're in the like £1,500–1,600 mark. So to be able to get a 1070 for 1400 with a fairly decent, it's like 250 gig SSD, 1 terabyte FireCuda drive, 16 gigs of RAM, and all that sort of stuff, is actually pretty nice. So that should be an interesting one. I'd again like to hear your thoughts on that one too. And actually I've got a game controller that will be next Friday, which is kind of interesting. It's from MSI. Aye. Anyone seen the new 30 terabyte SSDs that look pretty? I haven't actually, although I did see the 60 terabyte SSDs from Seagate a year or so ago now. Kind of mental. Any info on release dates for Volta? So some people are saying April as well. Other people, my expectation is announcement at GTC, availability June. That would be my expectation for Volta, Ampere, whatever. Warren is the video you just taking a baseball bat to a mining rig. Sadly not, sadly not. That could be a fun one though. Here's what I think about crypto mining. I have to arrange that. Next laptop for me will have Thunderbolt C via USB. The eGPU enclosures look compelling for future proofing. The only problem with that is just the size, because even the Aorus one, which is a box that's only about that big, you still have to carry around an extra box that you then have to plug in if you want to play games, which is a kind of... it's really nice, and it's a really, as you say, it's a nice sort of future-proofing option, but at the same time, that, you know, if you're on the train or whatever, for example, you've got a wee plug socket next to you, but you're pretty limited for space. I would much rather have a laptop that has a 1060 in it, or a 1070, that just works, and I can just, you know, play games or whatever, have a controller and just whatever, but then, you know, kick about on, you know, have that space and use it to my advantage, versus having that external GPU box, which I'd have to get out and plug in as well, but then that's something that I need to have plugged in, and where do I put that, because that's, you know, you do only have a finite amount of space. So like, or if you're traveling, like you know, if you're on an airplane, you've only got X amount of space, so like, where do you hide the GPU box? And if that needs a power lead as well, because some of them do, they need their own power, then that's a pain. So there's some trade-offs to it, and it will depend on what you fancy, but it means I can leave the eGPU at my folks' place or whatever and just take the lappy. Fair play, fair play. There's certainly some trade-offs to it, but it's an interesting concept, and I'm really interested to try one out. Hopefully I'm able to get my hands on one of the Aorus ones. I'm gonna start pestering them with that, actually. Actually no, can I? So I need to pester Aorus anyway, because I need to see some similar newer ones. But to Black Op, what do you use for a gaming mouse? The Naga Trinity right now, although saying that, I have multiple desks. So this desk I use the Naga Trinity, that desk I use the SteelSeries Rival 310, and that desk I use the Rival 700. So, you keep losing signal in your hotel room. Where you travelling to, Kev? Anywhere fancy? Fidget spinner, yes, I have a partner. Ali, is the HyperX Cloud 2 better than the Void? So I personally have the Void. I have the Void Pro. I have the Yellow Jacket, and I have the standard Void for that desk as well. I really like them. I find them very comfy. I haven't had the Cloud 2s personally. The Cloud 1s are pretty comfy, although and the audio quality is pretty decent, but I would say they're fairly well matched between them, so it really just comes down to what you fancy. I wouldn't say that they were necessarily any better, just different. There's also a bit of a different feel to them. The Clouds are a little bit more tight on the clamping force and a little bit less padded, whereas the Voids are a little bit more padded and a little bit less light. So if you move your head around a lot, the Clouds might be better, whereas if you just want like sort of the ultimate comfort, really, the Voids and like long-term gaming experience, you might enjoy that. The Voids a wee bit better. Ish, don't start it. Actually, I have a Noble Chairs pin as well from the Steve. I've actually got two of them. Cooler Master jacket, Noble Chairs pin, TechteamGB jumper on a Noble Chairs with a DX Racer in the background, and actually two Asus monitors. So a wee bit. Oh, and a Seagate bottle. I would have my Overclockers UK mug here, but that's getting washed. Disneyland Paris, just throwing out. Nice, nice. Have fun. Have fun. Not judging. No brand loyalty at all. Aye, so I think that's probably about it, really. Does anyone get any other questions for us, or are we all good? Anything from GDC in March you're excited for outside of the AMD lineup? Not specifically. We just kind of wait to see what happens, really. A bit more reaction, really, that sort of thing. I don't really get as hyped. That sort of stuff. Aye, I think I'm gonna call it there. It was, as usual, lovely chatting with you. I will be back next week, assuming that my internet doesn't go out again. I hope you have a good week. See you, Black Op. Thanks, Super User. I will do indeed. You too. And I'll catch you all guys next week. See you, Matt. See you, everybody. And see you, Matthew. Right. Catch you later, guys. Bye.